Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning to everybody. This is now, we're entering week three of our distance learning. So I hope all of you guys are well. And I'm just going to do a quick recap for the last couple weeks. So just to remind you that our wanted posters are due today. So you have, remember the wiki project, which is going to be right here. I think a lot of you guys are pretty familiar with that now. Remember, you do have two of those. I messaged anybody who had only turned in one at this point. So I just wanted to clarify, you are required to do two of them. So you have the coronavirus one, and then you also have one of your choosing based on your group. So just be aware of that. Okay. So if you have not done two of them, then make sure you go back and revisit that project document to look at those directions. And you also had your Unit 8 notes and the two video summaries due last week. Those should have been submitted in the Unit 8 wiki project. If you had issues with that, let me know as soon as possible, and maybe you can submit it in a different way. But ideally, it goes into that Unit 8 wiki project. And so does today's assignment as well. It's going to be submitted in the Unit 8 wiki project. So I'll go over that here in a second. Please make sure you do the weekly check-in. The questions have changed this week, so you'll notice there's 4 questions. The second two have changed. So I'm just kind of checking in about how you're feeling today and about your academics. Nothing new there. Number 3, if you had to work but didn't need the money, what would you do? So just think about anything that you're really passionate about and something that you could do for the rest of your life. And money is not an issue. What would be something that you would do? And then finally, number 4, what is one thing about biology specifically that you've always wanted to know? And maybe hopefully I can address that question for you as you answer that. And let's get into this week's assignment, please. So if we look at the Unit 8 assignments, this should be our very last one for this unit, and then we're going to be moving on to Unit 9, Ecology. So we're kind of wrapping up things here for evolution. If we look at the last assignment for the week, or really the only assignment for the week, is a Widowbird case study. So I'm going to kind of run through this a little bit with you guys. You're going to have to read this case study. There's going to be certain questions you have to answer that go with it. You can handwrite, or type your responses in a Google Doc. Either one, totally fine. But please make sure you submit that into the Unit 8 wiki project, as you can see here. So once you download this file, you're going to notice, I'm going to open this up here. So it is pretty lengthy. It's 8 pages, but this is your only assignment for the week. And then you notice, I'm going to go back up here, but please only answer the highlighted questions. I've just kind of eliminated a couple of those. I think it'd be just a lot easier if we were in class to focus on those, but since we're in the distance learning format, I'm going to go ahead and have you skip those. So only the highlighted questions, please. I'm going to read to you the part 1 introduction just to give you a little background, and so I can elaborate a little bit more on the context of this case study. But it's related to natural selection and sexual selection. So having females kind of choose the males, or vice versa, based on kind of the genes and the traits that those individuals have. So those better genes get passed down to the next generation. So part 1, introduction. Natural selection is the evolutionary force that shapes the traits of a species in response to the various demands of the environment. So we covered that, if you remember the bird beak lab that we did back in class. A perfect example of natural selection happening in real time. Any process or event during the life of an organism that influences the number and or quality of offspring produced by an organism due to a heritable trait. So in other words, behaviors are not heritable, right? You cannot pass down behaviors through genes. Here they're referring to traits that are caused as a result of genes. So due to a heritable trait of that organism can act as a selective force, okay? So selective forces can be produced by either the biotic, so living, or abiotic, so non-living, components of an organism's environment. So abiotic components could be, things like weather, or maybe changes in water patterns. Maybe there's a river nearby and it changes course. Okay, so these are all things that can affect the organism's environment. So hence, natural selection is manifest as not a singular action, but rather as many different events occurring over the life of an organism. In this case study, the different and potentially conflicting manifestations of natural selection will be explored and studied. And we're going to do so in a species of bird called the widow bird. You can see some pictures of the widow bird here. Widow birds are small, finch-like birds in the genus Euplectes. They are striking members of the bird community in grasslands and shrubby savannas of southern and eastern Africa. So we have an idea of where they live now. This group is noted for the pronounced sexual dimorphism in between males and females. So let's kind of break down this word here, right? So sexual refers to gender, all right? So males and females. And then dimorphism. So di, you guys should know, refers to two. Morph, you think of like shape, okay? So sexual dimorphism is where males and females are going to have different shapes. So it's a clear indicator of which is a male and which is a female, okay? And you can see here, these are the same exact species, but they show clear sexual dimorphism. Very, very different. During the non-breeding season, both male and female widow birds have a brownish or buff coloration that blends with the grass and other vegetation. During the breeding season, however, males molt and produce black feathers, okay, as you can see here, on most of their body. Males also produce characteristic bright red and or yellow epaulets and chevrons on their wings. So you can see that right here, okay, so these are the males. Additionally, males of several widow bird species can grow elaborately long tail feathers that can be up to a ½ meter in length. All right, so pretty long, extensive tails considering the body of this bird is pretty small. During the breeding season, males secure and defend a territory from other males where they then build multiple nest frames. Okay, so they're competing for the same location. Males then perform a flight display that has a bouncy rowing appearance with loops and exaggerated wing beats to attract females to their territory. Females choose a male for breeding, line a nest frame in his territory with fine grass, and then incubate the eggs and feed the nestlings in that frame. After the breeding season, males molt to return to their pre-breeding coloration and appearance. Beyond initially building the nest frame, males do not participate further in raising their offspring. All right, so that's pretty much it for the males. Okay, during the breeding season, they'll molt. They'll have these long tails, these red and yellow colorations. They'll molt back into kind of their original yellow colors, and that's pretty much it. The females are in charge of incubating the eggs and taking care of the young. These elaborate behaviors and the striking seasonal sexual dimorphism in male widow birds have provided researchers with an intriguing system in which to study how natural selection can shape traits of a species. So sexual selection. The bright breeding coloration and long tails produced by male widow birds, and you can see one here, are thought to be adaptations to attract the attention of female widow birds. Reproductive systems in which individuals differentiate among potential mates and choose one based upon some characteristics is a form of natural selection called sexual selection. All right, so females are able to choose a male, right, based on the way that he looks. Okay, the fundamental idea of sexual selection is that choosing the best mate increases the probability of producing high quality offspring who will pass on the parental genes of the next generation, right? So a female wants to choose a male with a really long tail, maybe really bright colors, and that way those genes get passed down to their own offspring or her own offspring. Where was I? Intrasexual selection. Okay, so notice it says intra. We're going to get into inter. You can see here in a second. So intrasexual selection occurs when members of one sex, okay, so maybe two females, for example, compete with one another for the opportunity to mate with members of the opposite sex. Right? So two females maybe are competing against each other for one male. Or through actively securing and protecting a territory and its resources, all right? Or maybe a female wants to secure a territory so that a male can come in and have that area available to them immediately. Intersexual selection, all right? So inter refers to kind of between. frequently referred to as female choice, occurs when females choose among males. Sorry, let me back up here. Intersexual selection, frequently referred to as female choice, occurs when females choose among males based upon some criterion reflecting resources the male can provide or the quality of his genes. So the rest of this case study focuses on the widow bird. So remember, just please do the highlighted questions and skip the ones that are not. If you have any questions at all regarding this, then feel free to message me and send me a message, and I'll get that clarified as soon as possible. And good luck this week, guys, and reach out if you need anything. Thanks.